gives me a baseline to go for.
All right, recording. See, that one has a tally light. This one does not. That one does. The tally light's nice because when you're in a church,
oh, for sure.
You can look at the camera,
see it and be like,
know that
okay,
the son
you're
of a
good.
bitch is
And it's
recording.
not Tim waving at me and I'm going, what?
hey,
And I just hold up a phone. Text me.
just text me. You know, if we had radios, it would
Well,
definitely.
I know a guy that's got some radios.
He's got radios, but nobody else will use them. Yeah, because nobody loves me.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants to do what they want. So
That's the name of the game, isn't it?
that's the name of the game. But hey, everybody, I'm Tim Fox. This is
Jason Braunschweig.
and we are here just to talk a little bit about our photography business and what we do and what we provide, and a little bit going into 2023, kind of some of our overall goals, and we're gonna just kind of make some reference points here on some notes that we have, but we are just focusing on doing some more collaboration. As a lot of you may or may not know, Jason has been shooting with me since 2020.
Yeah. A year solid, pretty much. We've done a little bit of stuff during COVID, actually, because we were at Shoreside and we did some live streaming there.
Right. Yeah, we kind of started with the live streaming stuff.
Yeah.
In 2020, it was funny. He actually sent me a screenshot of our
First conversation.
First conversation, because it was one of those "what the fuck, who the hell are you?" Right.
Right. Yeah.
And
because I remember seeing you on Facebook, and you know, you just go through and you see, you know, another person holding a camera and stuff, and you're like, well, do I friend them? Do I not friend them? Are they going to think it's weird to be like, hey, I got a camera too?
Right.
So, but I know we've talked about that before too. You know, reaching out to, you know, other photographers and collaborating. And I think that's the one thing that's helped us set ourselves apart from other people is being able to work together, but also brainstorming off of each other's ideas.
Right.
And, you know, if one has an idea, well, what about trying this? What about trying this? And it starts turning into a snowball effect of ideas. And then the competition side of it, of
Right.
each person wanting to do better than the other person, but at the same time, you're cheering that other person on.
Yeah, I think that has been a big aspect of it from 2017, from when we first talked to now. So that's 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first thing we shot the fireworks
Yep.
in Storm Lake together, well, at the same time. And but you know, and the images are entirely different because we shoot some things way different. But it's really been interesting over basically the last 2 years since you know, since I needed somebody else to come
Right,
shoot for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
I was like, hey, I need 3 of us here today, and it's only Melanie and myself. Do you want to maybe learn some video? And I think you shot one wedding video and immediately went back to photography.
I had no clue how to shoot any video. I didn't know any of the settings other than, you know, some of the YouTube videos that I watched with the basic stuff, and you know, they're talking shutter speeds and apertures and everything that you have to do there. So I have the basic understanding, but you know, when they're talking different frame rates or anything like
Right.
that, I have no clue, and I just haven't had that desire to learn it.
Right.
It's something that I kind of want to learn, but there was other aspects of my photography that I wanted to learn, and my photography went in a completely different direction. And a lot of that was due to COVID when that happened, and I think that changed a lot of photographers. But for me at that point, it was a hobby. It was something that I enjoyed doing, and I, you know, with the anticipation of someday turning it into a career. But it was always, I just felt my work wasn't where I felt comfortable charging somebody and
Right.
going into it with a confidence, knowing that, you know, in this lighting situation or that lighting situation, I knew how to pull it off.
Right.
And then, you know, slowly but surely, I figured out I did, and I started gaining that confidence, you know, as a creative or a creator, whatever you want to call it. But I was able to start putting out that level of work, and a lot of that was due to COVID. And it's not that I hadn't, you know, shot images at weddings or done any portraits or anything like that, but it was that confidence going into a situation that you knew you could pull off the image.
Right.
So.
Well, and that's been a big thing, and I know talking to you about that, you know, a little over a year ago, it was, you know, you were like, I don't know. And I'm like, dude, you have the ability, you've got the gear. And, you know, at that point, you're already shooting well enough to be considered a professional.
Right.
So
yeah.
you might as well, you know, if it's part of what you want to do, is to go do it. And I know I kind of pushed you on that, and I really think over the last 12 to 13 months, because I think it was July of 21. I remember the wedding because it was hot that day.
And it was really making me regret doing
yeah,
weddings.
Oh my gosh,
Like,
yeah, I know.
I'm not a hot weather person, and then here I am. I got to work a 10-hour day in the hot heat, shooting photos all day, and you got sweat streaming down your face, getting in your eyes, and you know, you had the stress level of that, and then as well as, you know, you want to perform for that person you're working for. You know, I don't want to walk into a wedding or something where I'm working for another photographer and then just flub it up and be like, this is going to be good enough. You know, I've never wanted to create something where I said, this is good enough.
Right.
And, you know, but that's also what got me to where I am as a photographer as well. It's always pushing them boundaries.
Yeah. Good enough is never good enough. And that's something that you and I have really pushed each other on, was, you know, even with some of the back and forth, look what I did, well, look what I did, well, look what I did, look what'd you buy, oh, you got this, let's try this, let's, you know, so like new products would come out and we'd look at it and see if it's something that would benefit us, and we'd literally have a conversation watching the same YouTube videos and going back and forth, and there's so many aspects to photography and resources and everything else online nowadays that you can utilize some of the free resources to better yourself. But I think that is a stepping stone into when you start doing the paid resources, and then you start working with collaborators. Because like you and I, you know, we like to get together with Derek Bailey and Chris Baker and talk shop and photograph and really look at each other's images and how we do things. And the cool thing is that all four of us have our strengths in certain genres, and which really makes it fun for all of us to chit chat and talk about, you know, what I tried with this and what you tried with that. And, you know, and it's kind of funny because, you know, I see Derek as like the ultimate sports photographer.
Oh,
He's
for
super
sure.
good.
He's amazing.
And Chris is so good at all his product stuff and all his deliverables that he uses for his big businesses. You are totally like the street photographer dude.
It's what I love. That's my passion.
And I'm the one that kind of, you know, does a decent job with putting people together in groups and seniors and stuff like that. And
you're very good at directing people.
Right.
And you know, knowing what you want to work with. You know, you get on a wedding day, and you know, you take all the stress, not only that you're feeling, but you have these time constraints that you have to meet. You got people that may or may not be drinking. They're having a good time. You know, their focus is not on creating the best images, you know, and you still have to let them enjoy that day. That's what they're there for. You're not there to control that day. But there are some shots that you need to take control on so you can deliver them images that you know they're going to want. And, you know, the faster you can get through them. And I think that's where you do really well, is that time management. You know, we need these shots. I know these, you know, it's that rinse, cycle, repeat type of a thing. You know, you've got that down very, very well. And that's something that I learned from too, going into that day. You know, I can be extremely creative. But on the other hand, there's also that taking the bull by the horns and saying this is what needs to be done, and at 3 o'clock we need to be doing this. You know, I can get easily lost in that creative mindset where I'm off doing my own thing, and I can create amazing things.
Where is he? Where are you? You know, oh yeah.
Tim, have him stand right here. I'm doing this up in the balcony.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's looking out the window of a barn. What do you do? This is awesome up here. You got to check this out. But I think that is the best thing in of how we work together, is that, you know, I'm directing and you're doing your thing and Melody's doing her thing, especially at weddings, you know, with the three of us, is that, you know, and when you hire us for a photo video wedding, Jason is primarily doing the main photography work. So he's he's photographing the groups while I'm putting them together and filming, Melanie's getting some candids from the side, and then
Yep.
I will switch things over to where I want a little more video centric. So I want people paying attention to me, and Jason switches over to his candid side, his street photography experience, and it really drives our deliverables and our images to a whole new level.
Absolutely.
Of everything. So that is what he and I are going to focus on for 2023 with all of our brides, and also continuing on through 2022, because right now we have one more wedding together next month at Swiss Acres.
Yep.
And I know right now we each have our own separate weddings, and I just shot one yesterday. Jason shot one for me in Sac City yesterday, and so I was filming, he was photographing. We're Snapchatting back and forth. How's your day? How's your day? Everything going good? Yep. Oh, because that's the biggest thing, is just making sure the day runs smooth.
Yep.
Because there's so much more to the wedding photography side of things that people don't quite understand, and that is that yes, I am a photographer and a videographer. However, I'm gonna kill this fly. I missed it. Oh. But I'm a photographer and a videographer, but however, there's so much more. I help run the timeline of the day. I help create the timeline of the day. We make sure that people are in the right place at the right time. I have sewn brides into dresses. Yesterday, literally as the guys walked in, I pinned boutonnieres on them.
Yep.
Hey, come here, let's get this done. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
And
we have a lot of people that want to take control of that, and they're like, well, I want to pin it on. And then they're spending 10, 15 minutes on the first one trying to learn how to do it. And in 10 minutes, you can have all the boutonnieres.
I can have them done. I can do a group of 5 guys in about 3 minutes, as long as they'll come and get in line and stand still.
Well, like I've told some of the brides too, I'm like, I know way too much about wedding dresses. And I've never been in a wedding, but I know way too much about wedding dresses. And I even mentioned that the other day to the couple. I'm like, I've fluffed more wedding dresses than I ever thought I'd ever have to. And but it's different stuff like that you learn along the way. And but even the venues we shoot in, and we were talking earlier, the venue that I shot in, and we've, other venues we've shot together, we come back and we look at some of the images, and that's one thing that I like doing when I can is, going through images at night, figuring out what I did well, what I didn't do so well.
I know. I get the Snapchats.
And yeah, a lot of them.
I'm enjoying a beer, trying to unwind. And Jason's like, "Look what I got! Check this out." He's sending pictures, and I'm like, "He's not sleeping till 4 a.m."
Yeah,
tonight.
we did that one down in Des Moines. We drove down to Des Moines that day, and we were second. Well, you had video, and then I was second for video.
Right.
And we ended up doing photo and video both.
Yep.
The photographer, she had booked this wedding.
Her second photographer was sick.
Yep.
So
and then she just had a baby.
Yeah.
So she was nursing on top of that.
Right.
And so it was all that. And she said, if you want to shoot some photos, and I'm like, absolutely.
Oh, the place was great.
The place was beautiful. And to a photographer, anytime you get in them new venues, as a creative, you're looking forward to shooting them type of venues.
Right.
And I hope we get the chance to shoot more venues like that in the future.
Right.
And, because that's when you can really showcase what your skills are as a photographer. When you shoot the same venues over and over, like we were talking earlier, you're going over that lighting and you're talking about it. And, how can I make this better for the future? What equipment do I need to bring?
Right.
You start talking flashes and stuff like that. Then you got to worry about the power of the flashes. Is the power too much? Is it not enough? And, we've had some that have the white ceilings. You can bounce plenty of flash out of it.
And then there's the barns
and
that
then
don't.
there's the ones that don't. Like last night, it was when I walked in there, I immediately went, this is going to be tough. It's a beautiful location, but what you see with your eyes is not always what you can photograph.
Right.
It's got the matte black ceiling and they're high ceilings, and then it's got a grid pattern on it. So any light's not going to spill whatsoever.
It's getting absorbed.
And you're not, you're absorbing it through that matte black, but then with that grid pattern on it, that light's going nowhere.
Right.
And it works great for controlling light as far as that goes. But any of the walls, if you're trying to bounce flash, it's not working.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous venue. I mean, I mean, like I said, we both shot there. Gorgeous venue. But it's interesting learning the places, because some places are hard to light, some places aren't, and
some places you don't need to. You got enough natural light.
Right.
And sometimes it might be a little fill flash, and I did that at the wedding reception. 3/4 of it is natural light screened in area.
Right.
So it's just this stage area. The one thing I didn't like about it was the height of the stage, so it made things a little bit awkward as far as that went, because your head high is maybe at their shins or kneecaps.
Right.
So you're shooting up all the time, which is not the most
not
flattering
always
thing
the
in
most
the world.
flattering thing, but
And,
it is what it is, and I think that's what we do as photographers, is that and people don't realize is how fast we have to shift everything if something's not ideal, and that's something we'll talk about more in the future as we do these videos. But ideally, Jason and I are going to try to do at least a couple of these videos per month and talk about different topics and different things, lighting, cameras. So we'll talk a little bit about equipment. The biggest thing is that how we have grown as creatives and photographers to help all of our clients have the best images that they can, that we can create and send to them. So that is that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about a little bit in this. We've talked a lot more about our collaborations and what we want to do. Jason's he's got his own clients. I've got my own clients. We have clients together, and that's something else that we're going to touch on here in a little bit. The one thing that I would like clients and future clients to take a look at is considering having less posed images and setups. And I know it's great to always have like a couple group photos and some photos with some other people, but instead of having all of this time for just group photos or family photos, that we can look at doing a day where you just enjoy your family at your wedding. You just have to be at certain places, and then you will take 15 minutes here for this, 15 minutes there, and go more of a candid wedding route. And it's something that Jason and I would both like to try. And I'm gonna kill this guy.
I'm glad he likes you and not me.
Right.
But yeah, it's also and one thing we were talking earlier is that wedding party wants to enjoy that day, and as photographers, we want them to enjoy that time with their family and their friends, that hopefully they'll remember for the rest of their lives, but also get them images that they want to make sure that they get. And that's one thing that we're working on too constantly, is the quality side of things.
Right.
But also, as that quality side goes up, it slows things down a little bit. So you might not get the quantity out of it.
Right.
And I think everybody's different on that. But I've also had clients too where, they think they want a lot of images. And I got one in particular right now that I just had a meeting with the other day, and I've shot for, I think, 4 times, and I'll be shooting for him again this week. You start delivering 150 images, he's not really wanting to go through them 150 images. It's great, but he doesn't need that. So we had a talk about what he needs going forward, and as far as the images that he would like to see in that route. And it's not the quantity he's realizing that he needs. It's
Right.
He just wants the best quality.
Right.
So I want to be able to provide that with him, but at the same time I want to provide that to the rest of my clients or your clients, whether or not we're working together, or and we'll even advise each other on each other's clients, and but like we talked earlier, I think that's what has separated us from so many different people. And the same thing, we helped out with judging at the Spencer Fair, and as far as getting the comment on other people's photographs, and it's a weird spot to be in, when you're judging somebody else's work, but you can't sit down and actually talk with them.
Right.
And it's a very, you start going through thousands of images, and it's a very, speed this thing along. And as somebody who's done, not only local but national contests, I found that very, very interesting. And I think it's something that we need to address more on in the future, when we get together. The fair and the photography department, as somebody who's entered in the various competition style, you never know what them judges are looking for. But at the same time, you don't know what the credentials are of said judges.
Right.
And you know, there was photographers there, but there was also people that they might know art, but they don't know photography. And you know, it was interesting talking to them people and what they're looking for.
Right.
You know, I consider myself a very technical photographer when it comes to composition and everything like that. To me, that's one of the most important things. But I also forget that when you enter these contests, that maybe them judges don't know anything about that.
Right. And I think that's something we can talk about in the future, is just, you know, entering, you know, I guess somewhat for you. I've never entered contests. It's been something I've had images where people have suggested, they're like, you should really put this in a print comp.
Right.
Nationwide stuff too, but I haven't done it. It just was never a thing that I really was curious about, and seeing where I was at. Now I'm kind of getting there where I would actually like to know, and I know you've had some, but you know, I think we can just plan on a short video about that.
Yeah, I think so.
But you know, we'll kind of get close to kind of buttoning this up here today. But so I know one of the other things that we needed to talk about was weddings, seniors, and family photography. And I have focused more of my efforts this year on senior photography and weddings. I still do some families. I do a lot of commercial photography and video. That stuff unfortunately doesn't get seen a ton. That's delivered to the client. It's for them to do.
And I think that's too, like, even on my page, you know, I've got, I think, 1,300 followers. I'm knocking on the door of 1,400 right now. So, you know, compared to your following, it's quite small, but, you know, on my page, they're not seeing that. You know, a lot of people don't see me as a wedding photographer.
Right.
But the amount of weddings that I've been doing in the last year is fairly substantial.
You have more weddings under your belt than some people that have been doing it for several years.
Right.
And it's been fun to bring you along, you know, and make you a part of the journey, because I don't want to say bring you along for the ride, because you are part of it.
Right.
You are part of the overall machine. And I think the reason that TFC Photography and Film has elevated in the wedding industry is partially due to Jason. And there's a lot of images that get delivered, and that's why I try to include you when I talk about things, is because this is a team effort.
Absolutely.
It's you know, it's myself, it's Melanie, it's you, it's you know, it's there's a lot more wheels in it than people realize. So, but it's one of the things that we want to elevate even further in the future, and so that's something that Jason and I have been talking about. Was so for anybody that is curious about having just Jason for a wedding or senior photography or anything else like that, you can reach out directly to me at TFC Photography and Film on Facebook. Instagram is just TFC Photography, or I'm totally easy to email, texts, all that stuff. So feel free to reach out to me, and bookings can go through me, payments can go through me. Jason still gets paid.
Yep.
You know, he doesn't work for peanuts. But it's the business side of things he wants to handle less of, and I need to continually make improvements myself on.
There's some people out there with some pretty cheap equipment making amazing images.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, I need to get a new battery for my old camera, or technically it was Melanie's camera. Because I still like to take that one out and shoot with the cheapest setup that I have, which is a 50 millimeter lens on a little itty bitty.
Which is funny because you hate the 50, and
I keep
50. Pushing you to use the 50.
I know. I use it. I try to use it. You know, I like the 35. You know, that's the 35 for wide or even really wide, and then of course,
you like to go long.
Of course, I like to shoot long. So you know, 135, 200. That's kind of my thing.
Yep.
But
and mine bounce between. Well, now before this year, I didn't push myself on anything wider than a 50. It was a 50 and 80 and 85, and that's where we differ too. Is I hate zooms. I don't want any part of zooms,
you're all prime.
and I'm all prime. But that's just my preference as a creator.
Right.
You know, I don't want that extra thing to worry about.
For me, it's versatility. So
Absolutely, yeah.
Like for a senior session, I will take a 135 and a 35. For a wedding, I take a 7200 and a 24-70, or a 28 to 75, because I've got, which the lens is back at Nikon right now because it was disconnecting from the camera. So, and then they just came out with another one, which is going to complete my Z Trinity, which will go from 17 to 200. So, you know, everything on with the new lenses, but you know, the primes give you an overall sharper, better quality image, and it's.
But that's been the difference of our work too,
Right.
is like what you need versus up until this point what I've needed.
Right.
But you know, as that goes, you know, I'm looking at other cameras for the future to add to my, you know, my kit, and it's not, you know, cameras are not a one size fit all.
Right.
They're just not. Just because you bought an expensive camera does not mean you're getting a Cadillac of any type. I went towards the higher megapixel, the best quality glass that I could outfit that camera with, but I wanted that overall quality.
Right.
But you lose speed out of it.
We know.
You know, and which can be very, very frustrating.
It can be frustrating, but
And,
like when it's nailed, it's nailed, and
Yep.
and that's funny because like your main camera and my main camera both produce amazing images.
Mm-hmm.
Mine will shoot ridiculously fast. Yours is way like 3 frames a second.
Yeah, on full burst,
Right.
like
And
you hold
what-
the trigger down as
I tell you,
cha-chunk, cha-chunk,
right.
cha-chunk.
But it's fun to shoot with that camera.
It's fun.
It
It challenges you.
Yeah.
It challenges
Because
you
you
a
have
lot.
to actually anticipate what's going to happen. And I just, you know, I don't want to say it makes me a lazy photographer, but it makes my job way easier. And it is funny because, you know, people will look at your equipment and they're like, well, man, if I had a camera like that, I'm like, you know, yes and no. You know, if you can learn how to run it, because there's no A button. There's no green automatic button on that one.
Yep.
You know, and so you have to be able to dial in the settings, but that's a whole nother.
That's another topic.
That's
for
a whole
another day.
nother topic. So, but a couple of things that we've got coming up in the future. I know we've taken 2 trips in the last, since 2020. So we have been to Florida and we have been to North Carolina. So we've got a bunch of images that we may get together and talk about that. I know Florida, we've got some stuff that we have not even gone through.
Yep.
And then
Either one of them, we've got a bunch of stuff we haven't
right, we
gone
have a ton
through,
of stuff
so.
with that. And then I would like to just sit down and go through some of Jason's street photography photos because they are pretty amazing in what he does with that. And then we also went through a school that has not been open for over 40 years, and so we've got tons of video.
And that's where I started shooting film at.
Yeah,
was
he
that
was shooting
right there.
film in that
So,
school. So, you know, I did a few photographs, but I was mainly videoing. I actually flew a drone all the way through the school, and you know, and I shot some video and stuff while he was talking. But I think that's the next thing, just for a fun video. I would like to actually sit down and kind of go through the Airsure thing, and so we'll throw some images and stuff up on the screen, and go from there. But so that's. You know, that's kind of what we wanted to go through. We just want to sit down and introduce ourselves a little bit. And Jason really wanted to talk just then, and I just completely cut him off. So I'll let him go.
I was just going to say, you know, as far as, you know, anybody who's viewing this from a creative standpoint, you know, don't be afraid to ask questions. Any photographer loves talking equipment.
Right.
And, but even the process. And I think a lot of people, they get worried, and some people are very protective over what they do and how they do it. I don't think either one of us are them type of people. To a certain extent.
To an extent.
To a certain
I am
extent.
totally down to help people. I'm not going to give you the sauce.
Right. Yeah.
Like I'll give you the ingredients. You know, if you've got good lighting, good camera, good lens, and understand how to direct people, you can make amazing images.
Yep.
Those are the ingredients, and I can help you with the ingredients. I'm not going to tell you how to put all those together.
Right. Yeah.
Because a lot of that has just been, you know, the last 6-7 years of just hammering it and hammering it and hammering it, and working on my style. And it's relatively funny because we shoot similar.
Right. Yeah.
But we edit differently.
Completely differently.
So, you know, that's the fun part.
Which
you
has
know.
been a kind of a give and take kind of
Right.
thing when we start
Well, if we
comparing
have to
images.
edit,
and,
well, and if we have to edit either others' images for
Which-
for weddings and stuff like that, where I would edit yours or you would edit mine, you know, and I'm like, would you quit shooting this way? And you're like, would you start shooting this way? You know, and So, because there's, sometimes I edit the weddings, sometimes Jason edits the weddings, sometimes I edit the film, sometimes, it's just, and so there's a lot of that. So we've kind of, I think now at this point, we're fairly neutral on our shooting,
Yep.
exposures and all that other stuff. But now we kind of have our styles dialed in. Jason's a little cooler, I'm a little bit warmer. It somewhat depends on what we're doing, know, and so yeah, that's the cool part about everything that we do, is that we're similar, but we're way different, and we each want to go different ways and do different things, but also do the same thing sometimes.
Yep.
So there's all this there's lots of different stuff that brings us together, because I mean we're really opposite on a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But we're very similar on others. So it makes for a good team to not have everybody who is the same person. So you have people that like to shoot wide and tight and medium, and Melanie likes to hang back and shoot wide stuff once in a while, and Jason likes to get like in the middle of the action.
Yep. I want to get as close as I can.
He wants to get as close
happening.
as he can, and I will hang back in the corner with a 200 on, and and so you get the dynamic range of all the images and stuff that we deliver. So, but in the meantime, we're gonna have to come up with a name for the show.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So if anybody's got any suggestions,
I'll take suggestions.
Throw it out.
Suggestions sounds like, instead of just Tim and Jason talking about stuff, talking shop, or talking cameras.
Right.
We could be the shit talking photographers for as far as that goes. But
yeah, ask some questions so we know the direction. We've been talking about doing this for a year and a half, 2 years.
It's been a long time.
And then finally we're sitting down to do it.
Yeah,
and,
so we came in the studio and we set up a whole bunch of stuff, and actually I'll just do a little video while we're sitting here filming, of just what everything looks like. So we've got, I've got furniture, blankets, and lights, and we've got 3 cameras rolling, and so we're all just sitting here amongst my stuff. So, but
because we hang out and we do this, we just don't record.
Right, right. Yeah, we do.
On the way to weddings, on the way from weddings, and even this morning, when we're Snapchatting each other back and forth. You're looking at YouTube videos and I'm looking at YouTube videos, and I think, we pretty much start and end our days about the same.
Yeah.
It's constantly researching and pushing yourself. I tell people I am constantly living for that next frame.
Right.
And that's the point that I am at as a photographer, is constantly, trying to evolve.
Right.
And
just create better shit.
Right.
And that's you and I were talking about that, and it's going to go into my senior stuff, which I'm fixing to make a video on next, to go out to my senior clients, and I'm kind of changing the way we do it, because some of my senior photos that I've been working on have been really dynamic, and so that is one of the things. And I'd found this course, and I said, hey, I think I'm going to buy this course, because it really shows how to make these images that are they're product brand worthy. So they are the Nike, they're the Under Armour, they're these type of images, and they require an entire process to create, and the kids love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The kids love it.
The final product is amazing.
But
what's
it takes
getting
a
delivered.
shit ton of education, lighting, and time. And so I'm gonna break down my seniors a little bit and give them some options, instead of, well, you get this hour or this 2 hours, and this is it.
Yep.
So now it'll be, you can have the hour for the kid that doesn't want any photos, but mom and dad wants them. Then you can get the 2 hours for just the general portraits and maybe some with your sports gear. And then there's going to be the third option of a shoot, which is going to be the dynamic sports portraits. Girls are going to get another option, or I guess guys want it too. I'm going to work on having a hair and makeup artist that's available to get everything done before you shoot, so you look the best that you can. So just trying to provide a better overall service and experience to everybody. So,
and I think that's the importance of hiring a photographer and not hiring a camera.
Right.
And a lot of people look at photography as, I'm just hiring a person with the camera.
Right.
But what you're actually hiring is that photographer. You're hiring the way that they see light, the way that they see angles, how they're recording that day's event.
Right.
Because there is no one setting that is just a set setting.
True.
And you know, there's so many ways to expose a scene. How close are you? You know, your apertures, your shutter speeds, and stuff like that. And that's one thing that I play with quite a bit. And that's what that fly is going to get me there.
Fly.
But you know, that's the one thing that's helped at weddings too. You know, having them extra shooters there. You know, having you there. You know, not only as a videographer, but you know, backup photo, or you know, at different times you're not shooting that, but having Mel there as well. And you know that, you know, them other photos aren't getting missed while you're off experimenting.
Oh, it's really funny going through images and be like, when did you get this?
Right.
You know, I'll look at Mel and go, when did you do this? This is great. I love it.
But I think that's changed us both as shooters too.
Right.
And like I'll tell different people, you're the only one that's got to see my raw files.
Right.
You know, and that's and as a client, you don't really understand that. That's something that, you know, I don't let anybody else really see or play with. You know, mine is changed now. I used to crop a lot, but the street photography thing has really dialed me in.
Right.
But not only that, but the film side of things, and we'll talk about that again.
Get it right in camera. Get it right
We'll talk
first,
about
so
that again close. But when you start working with 35 millimeter negative, you don't have croppability because that information is gone.
Right.
You know, you start blowing that up, you're already limited on what you can do with that. Now, once you start getting in the darkroom and stuff, you know, people are like, oh, you know, traditional photography, you didn't mess with an image, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
Oh yeah, that'll be it. That's a whole, like the stuff that I've learned from you just talking about that has been pretty incredible. So, you know, those are a few of the things that we're going to talk about in the future. In the meantime, so we're looking for name suggestions. So I've got some thoughts, but you know, I don't want to put them out there yet.
I'd love to see what other people have.
I am really curious to see what other people come
up
with.
Some people watching this will know us very well, and other people won't know us at all, or they'll know one or the other. Right.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't think you're going to offend us.
No.
So like I'm waiting for this. All I could think of was like Jack Spratt, and you know, so Jason's thin and I'm not, you know. so Jason and the chubby dude.
Be
or something.
Big and small all over again. Rob Deerdeck.
But anyway, so that's what's up. We're looking for suggestions on a name. We're really looking forward to having everybody back. And you know, in the meantime, hit us up with questions, suggestions, anything that you want us to talk about photography, or I can talk about a little bit of the video side of stuff that we do. But we look forward to chatting more, and maybe next time it'll be here, maybe next time it'll be somewhere else. But we needed a starting place, so what we chose to do was to just start it.
Yeah.
So.
And then eventually we hope to work with some other creatives, because
I would like to have more people come on in and stuff. So.
Yep. Because I work with a group of photographers and friends down in Des Moines. And we're actually going to be meeting in a couple weeks, and the Des Moines Analog Film Club, and so it's, you know, it's great working with, you know, the guys down there and the way they see things, and I just love working with other creatives, be it musicians or photographers, videographers, or
and we've got
the whole work. So
even the musician stuff.
So if any other creatives want to work together, you know, let us know. Let's talk. And we'll go from there. So.
Cool. All right, everybody. This has been good chatting.
See ya.
We will talk to you later.
Done.
Done, sir. Fucking done. Yeah.
I drove all the way here for this.
I like the lighting here better. It's good.
You're still ugly.
I'm still ugly. Yeah, that's all right. Flip it back. Now I got to talk about seniors. So I'm just going to grab this camera and go over and sit down.
Go for it.